welcome in everybody to another episode. Brett Allen here, chatting with the amazingly talented Emily Summers about Westworld season 4. This show is just amazing, and it just continues to get better and better, like fine wine every season. Emily, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Well, this show is just spectacular, and of course, as I mentioned, we're in our fourth season now. And it feels like with this type of show, it's just so markedly different and not like a lot of television. I think really for HBO even too was kind of like cutting edge as far as like what it was about. So let's talk about your experience. And I've seen your episodes. What was this experience like for you to be a part of such a massive conglomerate of a show?
Yeah, well put. It was out of this world, which I think is fitting for Westworld. It was atypical from a traditional experience on a show, in that, you know, when you're on Westworld, you just get your scenes. So you are kind of left exploring what your character's reality might be and drawing your own conclusions. So there's a lot that's left up to you and piecing together pieces of the puzzle. I feel like we're kind of living Westworld as actors as well as being part of this show. And then just, yeah, getting to work with that cast and be on a set with the crew, the producers, the directors. I mean, every single person on that crew is just top of their game, right? So
Yeah.
Having that experience is the dream. It's on another level.
Yeah, so that answers my next question, because I was very curious about it. So when you come into a show like this for an episode arc or whatever the case might be, there's very little that you know other than what you're doing until you get there. And then even when you get there, you just don't know until the product is finished. How as an artist and a storyteller, does that challenge you in a positive light to sort of create this world when you, no pun intended, that you just don't know like where it's going to wind up?
Yeah, there's a lot of like art imitating life, imitating art in Westworld, right? Yeah, I think you have to roll with it. I don't think you can fight it. So there's no point. We know now that it's Westworld season 4, as actors, kind of the deal that you don't get the scripts from watching interviews with the other actors and knowing how the show goes. So you go into it at least knowing that that's going to be your experience, and you kind of just do the best you can and rely on your training, and the other actors are a huge help because we just talk with each other and kind of fill in the gaps. So you kind of just have to let go and rely on the work you've done, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's a fantastic show. You did a wonderful job. I mean, it's just a fun show to watch, of course. And I've been in love with the show from the beginning. I stumbled upon it right after the first season had come out, and I had heard everybody talking about it when it first came out. And of course, you know, people oftentimes don't do a fantastic job of describing things. There's lots of nudity and robots, and it's like a sci-fi Western, and, you know, it's based off an older television series, and that's it. And you're like, okay, well, I don't get it. And then I watch it, and now I found myself all the way through the first season into the second in real time, and just haven't stopped watching, because it's far more than that. And the show has really evolved and progressed over the seasons and sort of taken it in a different direction. So that's cool. You had a great time. You've enjoyed it. Were you a fan of the show prior to getting on and booked, or had you not seen it before?
I was, yeah. I think everyone has seen at least season 1 of Westworld.
Yes.
There was so much momentum and expectation for that first season, especially with that cast. And, there was a lot of hype. So I had seen season 1 completely. And then I went, before I came on the show, I watched season 3. And then when I knew I would be back for more episodes, I went back and I watched season 2. And it seems like it might be a little convoluted to watch it out of order that way, but it's almost like 4 separate, 4 seasons could almost be standalone shows, right?
Yeah, they're not really the same. I mean, they might sort of connect in some sort of way. And I think that was kind of the thing that was interesting about when the first season ended, because it ended so dramatically. And then the second season picked up, and it ended sort of in an odd, strange kind of way. Like, well, how are they going to do this? And then third season comes along, and you've got like Aaron Paul helming the show, and you're like, what? Like, didn't he? I don't get it. But then you watch it, and yes, I would agree with you 100%. It could be, it's almost like an extended anthology type series, really.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
yet the similar connection is it's Westworld. But past that, you're dealing with like sort of different kinds of stories. But I think that's great. And it's a testament to the creators, the showrunners, and the writers and their
Mhm.
creativity. The music, of course, is fantastic. I know season one, they
Favorite
used a
part.
lot of Coldplay music, and I'm like, I recognize that song. um, it's very smart. What interested
Yeah.
you in becoming a storyteller or an actor, Emily? Like, where did it start for
Oh,
you?
at the beginning, I started as a kid. I started as in ballet when I was like 3 years old, and then just from that naturally progressed into musical theater. I went to New York. I saw my first Broadway shows and saw kids my age doing it, and thought maybe I could try that. It looks like fun. So I segued out of dance into theater, and all my training was in theater. I grew up in the East Bay, in the Bay Area in San Francisco, and so I was
Nice.
lucky. I had like a ton of great theater, right, and
Yeah.
great training to get exposed to. And so from there, I just ended up pursuing film once I moved down to Los Angeles. But all my training was in theater, and I think just naturally moving from ballet into that. I never went back to ballet, sadly, but
Well, who knows? Maybe someday you might be
one
called to
day.
use it. Maybe your character on Westworld
Who
will be.
knows?
I know, because they do some weird things over there. So, but you
Yeah,
never know. I mean, I think all of that just sort of encompasses and creates you and your persona as an entertainer, and it all goes together.
it does.
Yeah. Shout out to the Bay Area. Where did you live? Where in the Bay Area?
Am I from? I grew up right next to Berkeley in a small town called Piedmont. Because you
I
said you
know where
lived in the
Piedmont is.
Bay.
Well, I lived
Yeah.
in. Well, so if you go further the other direction, um, Vacaville, California, is where
Yeah,
I
back
was.
along.
The
Yeah.
outlet malls, yes.
I know. I went to UC Davis, so
Okay.
I stopped in Vacaville on the way from the Bay to college. That was like the pit stop. Yeah.
Yeah, UC Davis is great. Yeah, there's a lot of amazing talent that comes out of the Bay Area. It's interesting, then people just sort of make the jump over to, LA, and some even stay in that area. I talked to somebody recently and they still have a home there because they only come to LA when they have to. So
Well, funny enough, Daniel Wu, who's also on this season of Westworld, we found out we went to rival high schools in the Bay.
nice.
So he went to Head Royce, I believe. I went to Piedmont, and just years apart, but we were like 10 minutes away at rival high school. So there's a few of us who come from the Bay.
Yeah, yes. Shout out to the
Yep.
415. Love it. Um, well,
510.
congratulations. 51. Okay, so you're 510. 707 is kind of boring. It's like that doesn't really meld well together. Well, congratulations on this fantastic show. Excited to see you come back for more
Thank you.
episodes. All the well-deserved success on this. You and everybody else. It's just such a smart show. And I think people, as this season premiered in June, so as I think maybe a few more episodes, or we might be at the end of the run. I'm not sure exactly,
We
but it's
just finished. We
yeah, you
just
just
finished.
finished. Okay,
Yeah.
so fingers crossed for season 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. They have a hit on their hands. They would be silly to not bring it
I think
back.
there's
Well,
a good chance. Yeah.
yeah, I think so. Well, it'll be interesting to see. Last question, were you able to get a lot of this done pre, mid, post pandemic? How did it work out for you specifically?
Good question. Yeah, it was the first job I did during the pandemic. So
Okay,
we did it all in 2021. So
gotcha.
it was still like pretty heightened pandemic,
Got
and
it.
amazing to see hundreds of people on a set like this and how lucky we
Yeah.
were. I think there was like only one time there was any scare with COVID. People were amazing and just followed guidelines and made an incredible show during a tough time. So I was just lucky to
Yes,
be.
100%. Well, congratulations on all of this. Very well done. And Emily, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.